Joining us now are Democratic Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts and Democratic Congresswoman Sydney Kamlager-Dove of California.
Representative Kamlager-Dove, it is not just that they're talking about overruling the parliamentarian. You actually have conservatives who are saying it's time to fire the parliamentarian. If the best they can do is complain about the refs, what does that tell you about their legislation?
Well, the parliamentarian was doing her job, thankfully, and she threw out some hot messes that were in that bill. One of it was to punish states who are actually trying to find more ways to provide health care for their constituents, and a snarky little piece that actually would limit judges' abilities to issue nationwide injunctions. So I don't even know why that was in there in the first place. So, of course, if you can't talk about the merits of the bill, you go after the woman. It's shameful, but that's all Republicans know how to do.
So, Congresswoman Pressley, you guys have done your work. So right now, you're sitting back in the House going, we tried to tell y'all this was going to be a hot mess.
That part.
But they wouldn't listen. So you have Republicans out here calling for the firing of the parliamentarian. But then you have Senate Majority Leader John Thune about that idea, quoting, no, that would not be a good option for getting a bill done. You think? And so the fact that the Republicans find themselves in this position is one thing. What is the opportunity here for Democrats right now on this particular sticking point that Republicans find themselves?
Well, you know, I would just say that public outcry is important, and we need people to. As Democrats, we have never seen this dark vision for the country, seen this big, ugly bill as an inevitability. We have to reject it and resist it at every turn. And Republicans need to stop trying to railroad this bill through, and in turn railroad the American people by denying them health care and food and perpetuating this legacy they seem so hell-bent on creating of making people hungrier, poorer, and sicker. And so what they need to be doing is going back to their districts and listening to their constituents. Constituents like, I'll give an example. There's Layla, a young girl with a rare kidney disease in my district who received a kidney transplant at one of the hospitals in my district, and it saved her life. She will have to be on immunosuppressant drugs for the rest of her life. Her family pays for those drugs through Medicaid. Mm-hmm. And if these cuts happen, I shudder to think what would happen to Layla, who is thriving right now and has a future. But I know her family, if these cuts happen, they will go bankrupt fighting to ensure that their baby girl is okay, but they shouldn't have to. And so Republicans need to stop trying to railroad this through. They need to go back to their districts. They need to listen to their constituents. They need to be more focused on doing a job than keeping it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that is the point, because, frankly, there's a Layla in every district in this country. And there are people who are caring for their aging parents that rely on the Medicaid money to fund either in-home care for their parents or that put them in a nursing home or a caregiver.
That's right.
I feel as though that the Republican majority in the House and in the Senate, and frankly the president for that matter, because he's like, call your senators, call your congressmen, we got to get the vote. I feel like they think the American people are stupid. That if they just say, this is what's good for you, we're not cutting Medicaid, we're reforming it, we're making it better. If they just say, this is just going to be this is the best, most important, consequential bill of our lifetime, this is good for you, we're not doing what the Democrats are. If they just say it, people will believe it. But what about Layla?
Yeah. Well, just because I say I can sing like Beyonce doesn't make it so.
Come on now.
There's a Layla in every district, in a Republican district and in a Democratic one. Mitch McConnell was the one who said, push this. People don't care. They'll get over it. But we are talking about $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid. We are talking about hospitals, community clinics, and doctors' office closing. We are talking about someone who is on Medicaid losing a benefit. And we're talking about someone who is not on Medicaid, potentially losing the ability to go to a doctor or a community clinic or a hospital if they need help, because those will close. And you know what else we're talking about? We're talking about jobs. We are talking about losing jobs in the health care industry. And that is going to continue to put this economy in Donald Trump's gold toilet.
It is
Well,
very
and-
clear,
yeah.
Congresswoman Presley, that there are a lot of Republicans who understand what a political loser this is for them. They are talking to folks in their district, all of these so-called Medicaid moderates who realize what this is going to mean for rural health care. So I think part of the question is, to whom is the political liability going to fall? And today, Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, was asked if the president would sign a bill that had these Medicaid cuts. Listen to what she said.
There's conversations on the Hill right now about the Medicaid cuts. Yeah, I'm curious if the final bill that the president's been talking about comes to him and it has Medicaid cuts in it, will he sign it, or would he rather just Congress do away with those cuts?
I think our friends in both the Senate and the House know exactly where the president stands on Medicaid. He wants to get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse.
Whoop, there it is. So how do you then put that around his neck?
Well, I mean, this is what Democrats are doing every day, is to make sure that people understand, if this big, ugly bill becomes law, who has been the architects of this harm? Who was not only the architects, clearly the Trump administration, but the Republicans were complicit. Conspirators and cowards in this wholesale harm. And this harm is coming for everyone. No one will be exempt from it. So that's why it's important that we continue to tell people, keep the pressure up, continue to share your stories. We are not treating this as an inevitability.
Remember,
I won't conjecture about what the Senate will or won't do, but the point is we have to keep the pressure up, because whatever way you slice it, people are going to be denied health care, people are going to be hungrier, people are going to struggle.
And remember, when it went through the House, it was in the dead of night. And going through the Senate now, they're trying to do it the 4th of July weekend, hoping that folks are going to be barbecuing instead of trying to figure out if they're going to have health care.
So the story just keeps growing in and around itself, because you have that happening on the Hill with the bill, and they're trying to figure out what to do. Meanwhile, on the other side of the street, the Supreme Court decided it would lay down a little bit of ruling regarding the ability of states to block Medicaid money. The judges found that while Medicaid law allows people to choose their own provider, that does not make it a right enforceable in court. The court split along ideological lines, with the 3 liberal justices dissenting in the case from South Carolina. The AP, of course, notes that funding cuts to Planned Parenthood in the bill would force the closure of about 200 centers, most of them in states where abortion is legal. So you have now this other piece that's being layered on top of the storylines around, as you pointed out, Congresswoman, the impact it has on individuals in communities across the country, especially in rural parts of America.
Yeah. So I don't represent a rural community, but I do represent Los Angeles. And I actually sit on the board of Planned Parenthood Los Angeles. I'm the co-chair. 85% of the women who come to Planned Parenthood Los Angeles are on Medicaid, and they are trying to find a way to have a healthy baby. That is why they are going to those clinics. And you know who else is going? Women who are in abusive relationships, who are trying to get health care someplace safe. I have so many stories of women who've gone to the clinic and had to come back home and were beaten almost to death by their partner because they were trying to get health care. So this is what this fake pro-life Republican Party is trying to do. Limit the possibilities and opportunities for women to get health care safely.